Hello everyone, I am Bushido X Wolf, and I'm just doing this quick video, hopefully quick, for everyone who was asking, not just me, but a few other people who I happen to know, the questions about the bot, specifically for the more recent version of Ankbot, recent as of October, almost October, of 2017. So I'm on Ankbot version 1.0.2.X. As of this version, I know for a fact everything I'm doing is working, and as you can see, I've tested it out a couple times. So this is specifically for people who want to do a sort of gamble or wager system. Now, just for the sake of this is like a basic like gamble one instead of wager. So for this one, it's just going to be you type in the command, which for me is journey. That's going to be my version of gamble, right? Your bot takes that and will randomly put out something different. So funny enough, my very first test gave me, I have a very, it's like less than a 1% chance of a critical fail where it instantly takes away all of your points. Which for my system is called bones. I crit failed on the very first attempt, and yeah, I lost all of my own currency, which is pretty funny. And I have a command text for that: the universe is turned against you, and against all odds you lose all your currency. Now, as you can see, a couple of these have different things that they do. Depending on how many different ones you want to create depends on how much effort you put into it and stuff like that. So for example, right now my purse is 0, which you'll see later on will affect how some of the, like what some of these outcomes will be. For example, nothing will happen and it'll say it goes for a boring walk, maybe next time, or something along those lines. Some of you might not even want to do something like that. You might just want to do that they win or lose. I like the idea of them having nothing happen. Also, with the way that I built my system, it's a very win-lose system. You have a chance just as big to win that you will to also lose. So, for example, a couple of these will be that complete failures where nothing happens. But in this case, for example, I just gained 456. You could do that. You could set whatever you want for these points. I'll show you how to go through all that. But yeah, there's lots of different things you could do here. So, first thing, before you even consider setting up a gamble system, if you're using Ankbot, the first thing you got to do is you have to set up your currency. I jump straight into edit command. In here, I'm looking at my journey command. For you, it might be gamble, but for me, I have it set to journey. Depending on how you want it to be, some people might want theirs to have a permission of, oh wow, you guys actually cannot see the drop down. You might want it to have set to everyone, regular, subscribers, whatever you want. You might have like a minimum rank that they have to achieve before they could use it. Point being is you can set the permission to whatever you want, set the command to whatever you want. The user cooldown you could set up to whatever you want, all for balance and things like that. You could even set up a cost in order to use the gamble system. So if you want to have a sort of wager, you could have wager and have people pay however much it is to wager, and then based on that it'll go through the wager. So you could set up your own rules for this. So here's where I'm going to break down how the command works, or how I have it set up. Everyone will probably have theirs set up in their own unique way. I just want you to understand it in a way that you'll be able to take it and make it your own thing. So here we go. So user, which would be the person who calls the command. So let's say it's one of your viewers. So that viewer's name will pop up, goes on a journey, and this little bit of text that goes on a journey and ... This is where you can choose how you want to phrase it. So for me, I chose goes on a journey. For you, could say if it's a gamble system, you could say roll the dice, played Russian roulette, or something like that. You could actually even set up so it reads a random line from a text, so you'll have a different phrase. You have a pool of different phrases it'll randomly choose from. But in my case, I do goes on a journey and ... and then what it does here is it uses one of the Ankbot's built-in functions, read random line. So it'll look for a text file. Within the parentheses, you have to put the exact location and name of the text file, but it'll read a random line of text from this text file. For example, I have mine in my E drive under a folder called stream, and the file itself is called journey.txt. So we're gonna take a look at this text file, not this exact one actually. I'm gonna show you a sample that'll be easier to read than mine, and then I'll give you a little glance at mine so you understand. Alright, so this is my text file, and now here's the full breakdown. With my read line, so if we jump over back to Ankbot, now remember I said we have this little read line bit set up here. It reads a random line from inside the text file, right? Now we tell it to read a random line. It looks at add points, for example, and it says, okay, this is the line I'm gonna read. This is the random one I've chosen at random. It says, okay, add points, right? So it runs this command, which in Ankbot is set up in a way that you can either set a range or a strict number or something like that to add points to somebody. In this case, we have it so the target is user. So the person who used the command originally that called this is called a function, that called this function will be the one that's targeted. And this is our range. So what this means is anywhere between 10 and 100 is our cap. It could be any random number. It's never going to be a fraction, or at least it shouldn't be unless you've really messed up the system. But it's always going to be anywhere between 10 to 100. So 10 is the lowest number, 100 is the highest number. This is inclusive, meaning it includes these numbers. Let's say it's going to pick a random number and say 50. Okay, so next it'll read this line, which it'll only do if it succeeds, which it should succeed unless something has gone catastrophically wrong. So now, whoop, the person who used the command, let's say myself, Bushido X Wolf, whoop, Bushido X Wolf scored. It'll read the random number it chose. So that's what value means. Value, I put bones down directly. Now, to correct what I was saying before, I've changed this here to currency name. The reason this is a better practice is because if for whatever reason you change your currency, or what it's called at least, it'll always be reflected in your commands. You don't need to go through and change every command. So let's say I go back and I change all my bones to swords. Now I need to go into here and actually replace everything that says bones with sword. But now I also need to make sure that I'm not replacing something that actually is supposed to say bones, like a person's bones or something along those lines. So instead, best practice, whenever you're saying value, you probably want to say your currency name too when it comes to gamble. So if someone scored 50 points, you'll say 50 for the value and points for whatever your currency name is. Now, if for whatever reason there's a bug or an error, let's say for whatever reason you accidentally put -10, it should give you an error. Or if you're just putting imaginary numbers like 0.10, which you shouldn't be able to give decimal values, it should instead error out and give you this bloop. This is your error message. This means something has gone wrong. Looking at remove points now, it's basically going to be the same thing. It's going to be looking at the user. You're setting a value, so it's anywhere between 50 to 100. So they can lose points anywhere between 50 to 100 points. So let's say they could land directly on 50, they could land on 80, they could land directly on 100. And then you write a response when this carries through. So in my case, mine just go lulz, user sprained their ankle and needed to be carried back to town at the cost of the value name, and then like I said before, we want to do currency name. Now if for whatever reason this fails, so let's say the person doesn't have anywhere between 50 to 100 bones. Let's say they had 50 bones exactly, but they rolled an 85. So instead of losing that value, it now goes to this error page, which I have set to, instead of just say, you know, oh, they didn't have enough bones, it goes user found 5,000 bones, ... but it was all a dream. So you don't have to say, oh, you don't have enough bones for me to take in order for you to lose bones. Instead, what you can do is you could say that, you know, nothing happened to them. And this is those times in my console where you saw at the very beginning, where if I was to jump back over here, you could see it was a boring walk, maybe next time. You tried to leave your house, but your inner couch potato cried out to you. Now you're potatoing on the couch. Those moments are where I was supposed to lose points, but I didn't have enough to lose. Now, the only time there's an exception to this rule where you won't have enough to lose is if you specifically set it to make the person lose all of their points exactly, which is what I did here. Now I have a way to give a person exactly how many points they have or remove exactly how many points they have, and I will show you how to do that right now. So now these two examples down here, the second set of remove and add points, are my all or nothing ones. So remove points, and then you use, for the values, you use exactly how many points they have. So anywhere between their number of points and their number of points. So literally the only option is their exact value of points. So for my fail, to be specific, I have it set so that it says the universe is turned against you, and against all odds, you lose all value. And then once again, we should, by better practice, say currency name. Sorry, ... Now, if something glitches or they have exactly 0, where you won't be able to remove 0, it should say somehow you cheated the system and nothing happened to you. Now, I think they might have fixed the whole 0 thing, or if for whatever reason they somehow managed to lose points at the exact same time that this is done, then this should error out, because at that point when they lose points at the same time, which is it's pretty hard. This person has to try to cheat the system. So that's why I have it set to somehow you cheated the system and nothing happened to you. They have to do a very niche thing for this to happen, and nothing will happen. So this is the only way to dodge the critical fail. And then false here would be basically what this last part does is it asks, do you want us to try to remove the points even if they don't have enough points? What will happen here is if you set this to true, the person can go negative in points. So they won't be able to use points to buy anything until they go back to positive. Now, I set this to false because I don't want anyone to go to negative. Also, it just wouldn't make it fun for a person to lose, let's say, 5,000 points and they only have 1,000. Now they have to wait till they get positive 4,000 points in order to use points to buy anything. And then on top of that, they'll still be at like 0, so they still got to build up from there. That's where you easily start losing fun for the viewer. So that's why I specifically removed the ability to leave someone in negative. Now, if we go back, it's the same thing with the add. It'll be add points user, however many points they have, which is points. Then it goes user cheated a god, define the universe itself, but settle for double the points. And you should declare how many they have that gets added in there. And then once again, if there's some kind of magical error, like they broke the system or something, it would bloop. And that'll usually only happen if there's a typo, like you're missing a letter here, and then it goes, I don't know what that is. Now that you've made a couple examples, so let's say you want to do add points and you've made a couple of these, right? And you made a couple of remove point ones with different quotes and stuff like that. Now, the one thing I recommend is if you're going to do something like a critical fail, put a blank space between it before you use it. You got to remove blank spaces, by the way, guys. You can't leave blank spaces anywhere. So if you see a line with a number, if I was to do this, jump over here, you see 7 is still there even though it's empty. That's because there is an empty line there. You have a chance of that empty line being read. So what that means is your command will do nothing. It'll say nothing. It'll just be a blank line. You want to make sure those are gone. Same thing goes with any and all blank lines. But in this particular case, what I'm recommending is that you leave the blank line there to separate critical fails and critical successes. And that's what you'd call something where it's all your points or a ridiculously large sum of points or something like that. You take all your adds and removes, you will highlight them until you see the cursor hovering above the blank line. You would typically want to hit copy and paste. So you could do Control Copy and then V. And you see how it just replaced my text with the same text, and you just keep doing that over and over again. So what does this do? What exactly is this accomplishing? I'm just going to undo this. What this does is it increases, so if you're reading a random line and you have like 50 of them that say the same thing, there's a pretty good chance you're going to hit one of those 50 lines that say the same thing versus the one that says something different. So in my case, I have a whole bunch that just say the same thing over and over again. And the whole file is very, very large. You have 1 in 182 chance to throw money into Starving Orphan, 1 in 182 chance to lose all your points, and 1 in 182 chance to double all your points. And then on top of that, all of these have like their chances. Most of them are probably like 30 in 182, things along those lines, or 40, whatever the case might be. But point being, there's a lot of these options. A lot of them are repeated, so that those have like good chances of happening. As you can see, like I could scroll down a couple times, but you'll see that they repeat a lot. Maybe you want something that just says nothing happened, and just have it so it happens all the time except for the one time where they get 1 point, just to mess with people, you know. The point is, you could set this up however you want. So once again, did my best here, guys. If you have any questions about how this works, then let me know, and I can do my best to answer it in the comment section. If I see there's a lot of people with the same questions, I'll either throw in annotations or make a whole new video, a part 2 to this. If you have any other questions regarding this stuff, let me know, and I could actually do more videos if you guys really like it that much. Thank you for watching. You could always check out the description below for information on like my social networking stuff and what other videos I've done, what other horrible creations or abominations I've participated in. And yeah, let me know if you guys would like to see more. Just throw me a like and subscribe. Take care, guys.